nothing's guaranteed. And you don't know what you started. My friend Chase so big that he look like the artist.
Hey guys, this is so I'm here today to play NBA 2K17, but at the same time, I'm going to do commentary for what I think the Cavaliers need to do and what they need to change for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. So right now, I'm just waiting for the game to load up. As you can see, they're doing the commentary with Shaq and Kenny the Jet Smith and Ernie Johnson. So just gotta wait for the game to load. And once it loads up, I'll start giving the keys to the game and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm very excited for Game 3. And I feel that Cleveland will definitely do a lot better in this game. And I actually have 5 different keys, technically 4, for what they need to do in order to do better. And one of them is just statistical things. You'll see what I'm talking about in a sec, guys. I took statistics, so I sort of have a little bit of an understanding of it. I may have sucked in the class, but overall, I think I retained a decent amount of information from it. And I'll talk about how that relates to basketball in a sec. That's actually my 4th point I want to bring up, though, so I'm going to start with the first point in the game as soon as we get to tip-off in this game. Actually, I might as well just, start now, because I don't know how much time I'm going to have in this game. I don't know what the settings are on the 2K video game right now, so I'm just going to get right into it. Basically, from what I've been reading, what I've been listening to, what I've been watching all day, I've been following, basketball stuff all fucking day today. Basically, I would say that they need to get LeBron in the postgame. Not like I just did. They need to avoid fouls, definitely. But they need to establish LeBron's postgame. I think he's at some of his best basketball games when he's went to his postgame. There's a couple different games that, cite that. One game in particular that I could think of was the Game 6 against Boston, where LeBron had 46 points when he was still on the Heat and just dominated in that whole game. Also, the game is lagging quite a bit, so I'm going to dole it back from freaking 1080 to 720. Not working out right now. Okay, so there we go. Now, on to why I think the post-game will help a lot. Basically, the Cavaliers don't have the same defensive players that they did in even 2016. They don't have a real shot blocker. They don't have a really gritty guy on defense like Dellavedova from 2015. They don't have anyone at all like that that's really a pesky defender, other than Thompson, who hasn't really been playing like a pesky defender anyway. So they need to slow the game down in another way by establishing LeBron James's post game. They're going to be posting up KD on as many attempts as possible. He's going to hopefully get KD into foul trouble, which slows the game down, slows the pace down a lot. He gets to the free throw line. Also, obviously, LeBron will get going early if he's taking a lot of free throws. All it's going to really do is start him out hot, and he'll probably have a couple and ones too, which is what they need since right now none of the three-point shooters on the Cavaliers are really hitting that many shots. And now on to the second point. They need to get the role players going hot and, playing really well early into the game. If they can do that, they'll be in a much better position to win the game overall, because none of the role players have been playing well at all. I'd say a lot of them have actually been pretty putrid. Another thing, as you can see from what I just did there in the game, they need to get Tristan Thompson going. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to make a lot of shots. He needs to just go out there and play his kind of game. And he needs to be playing with confidence. But he also can't be over-aggressive. Same thing with J.R. Smith. He's barely taken any shots in the finals, which is really troubling. He usually has unshakable confidence, and he's just not been showing it. And I'm not sure why, but he needs to start doing that, or they're in for a lot of trouble. Because if they can get JR going, it's just another weapon on offense. And as a result, the floor spacing will be a lot better. The team will operate more efficiently because they'll have to actually worry about defending JR, which will open up the floor for other players. And as a result, they should score more points overall if they can do that. Next point that I'd like to bring up is they need to play better in all facets of defense, communication, and execution. What I mean by that is when they need to play help defense or switch, because the Golden State Warriors are so switch heavy, they need to make sure that they make the right switch and don't get fooled into switching when it creates a bad matchup on defense for them. And if they think it would create a bad matchup, they need to communicate on defense and say, don't switch, don't fall for, the switch, because we're going to have a guy wide open, or you're going to have someone go right to the rack, like JaVale McGee right there. Next point, the fourth point that I was talking about that has to do with statistics, is not really, something they need to do better, but it's just the point that the law of averages is in fact a thing, believe it or not. And it basically states, well, when applied to basketball and, other sports, that shooters will take a certain number of shots, and, for a long stretch, they might be really cold for a really long time, for whatever reason. But if they're a good player, after a while, they're gonna start to get hot again because everything will average out. That's basically what it means. Like the shots that haven't been falling for whatever reason will start to fall. So I think some of the 3-point shooters will start going off that haven't been doing, anything. Like JR, I think he'll have a much better game. I think Korver will have a much better game. Not too sure about Deron Williams, but he's an end of the bench type player, so I'm not really all that worried about, if he doesn't do well. He's not a main focal point of the offense, so I'm not too worried. But, every little bit helps. If he has a good game too, he could help the offense in the second unit flow really well by making good passes and limiting turnovers. Which brings me to my next point. The Cavaliers need to limit extra possessions from the Warriors, which not only includes better rebounding, but also just not turning the ball over. Just playing really careful, not sensitive basketball, because then they won't get any offense going and then they'll just get blown out anyway. But careful, methodical, slightly slower basketball. I think if they have the game, both teams scoring into the 90s, I think they have a really good shot to win the game. If it's in, the 1-teens, like 118 to, 90 again, they're going to get blown out by 20. They can't, right now anyway, they haven't shown that they could score that much against this Golden State Warrior defense. So the key would be to just limit the extra possessions so that the Warriors don't get that high a scoring number, while also giving themselves a chance to score more themselves. Because obviously, better rebounding would not only limit their possessions, for the Warriors, but it would also give the Cavaliers extra possessions if they're offensive rebounds, which is what they need. Because, say they miss a 3, and there's Kevin Love right by the basket. If he gets a putback, that's excellent. They need extra possessions and extra effort on offense like that. And the only other main thing I can think of is just better effort overall. Like, they're just not playing the way they should be, to be honest. That doesn't go for LeBron, that's more for the role players that I was talking about, like Shumpert and Korver and all those guys. They really need to step it up because they've been really lacking. So if they can do all those things, I think they'll win the game. Now on to the Golden State Warriors keys for the game, which are pretty simple. Just, don't try to do too much. Don't force their players into situations that they're not comfortable with, because the more comfortable the Warriors are in the game, the easier it's going to come to them, and the better they'll do on offense as well as defense. So if they can do that, they'll be in good shape. Make sure KD has a big game. That's another thing. If he has another 30, 40 points, they might lose Game 3, the Cavs. And the exact opposite of what I just talked about with the Cavs, force turnovers and get offensive rebounds because the more possessions you have as the Warriors, the better. Because even if you have a couple bad possessions and you go on a drought for even a little bit, if you're getting offensive rebounds on top of it, it's not going to make that much of a difference, to be honest, because, yeah, you can miss a couple shots, but if you keep getting the rebound, sooner or later, you're going to make those shots. Because back to the law of averages, it's going to even out, and the Warriors will get shots off. They're too good a team not to have shots fall, is what I'm trying to say, essentially. And that's basically all I have to say for this game, game 3. And hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.